Welcome to the Head Trash Show. My name is Alexia Leachman and I'm the founder of Head Trash, home to the new and unique head trash clearance method that removes unwanted negative thoughts, feelings and emotions quickly and effectively so that you can achieve clarity, confidence and contentment in your life. My goal with this podcast is to teach you how to create some headspace by helping you to unpick what's blocking you and sharing some tips and how-tos for clearing it. Tune in every week as I share simple strategies to help you to achieve confidence and clarity in your life and business. To find out how to clear your head trash quickly and effectively using our unique method, pop over to headtrash.com to get our free download and subscribe for our free head trash clearance updates. And now for the show. Hello and welcome back to the Head Trash Show. This is me, your host, Alexia Leachman. Now, did you know that today is Fight Procrastination Day? Yes, there is such a day. And as with all fights, it's always best to stare your opponent in the face than run off. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to unpick procrastination and help us to understand exactly what's going on with it. Because it's only when we understand something and break it down that we can really start making some kind of progress in getting over it. And to help me unpick procrastination, I've decided to seek out an expert in productivity to help me. So today I'm going to be speaking to Grace Marshall, who's a productivity coach and an author who's written the book 21 Ways to Manage the Stuff That Sucks Up Your Time, which is a bestseller on Amazon. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be chatting to Grace. But before I hand over to the time when me and Grace had a chat, I just want to say a big thank you to the Smarter team at smarter.com, because Head Trash was nominated as Business of the Week on their website this week. So thank you so much at Matt at smarter.com for that. Really appreciate it. And I also want to thank those of you who are writing in and asking me loads and loads of questions. I've had some brilliant questions from you, and believe me, I'm running around behind the scenes seeking out guests to help me answer your questions. So I've had a great question from Bill, who really wants to understand a little bit more about the science behind the head trash methodology and certainly the kind of work that we do here at Head Trash. So I'm happy to say I have found a scientist and we're going to be chatting over the next couple of weeks. So I'll be putting that show out very soon. But in the meantime, if you do have any questions from a scientific perspective to try and understand maybe the science behind clearing head trash, then do send them into the website at hello@headtrash.co.uk. Okay, so now let's get back to what we're here for, which is fighting procrastination. So let me hand over to the time that I spoke to author and productivity coach, Grace Marshall. Hello and welcome back to the Head Trash Show. This is your host, Alexia Leachman. Now today I want to talk about procrastination. Now procrastination is one of those things that I'm sure we could all put our hands in the air and own up quite willingly and say, yes, I do it. So today, to help us unpick procrastination, I'm delighted to have with me Grace Marshall. Now, Grace Marshall is head coach and chief encourager at grace-marshall.com, and she's also an author of 21 Ways to Manage the Stuff That Sucks Up Your Time. And as well as that, she's also a productivity ninja with Think Productive, a company that helps other companies improve the time management of their staff. So welcome, Grace. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Alexia.
Thank you. So we're going to be unpicking procrastination so that people can really better understand what's happening to them when they do procrastinate. So just to sort of kick things off, when somebody's procrastinating, what on earth is happening to them? What are the telltale signs of a big procrastinator?
Okay, so I think whenever I say procrastination, most people go, oh yeah, I know what that is. So I think it's one of those, it's funny, it's one of those head trash things that I think most people know what it is and and they know that they do it. So some of the ways that it might come out, some of the signs could be having lurkers on your to-do list. So having things that are always on your to-do list, and if you do write a new to-do list every week or every day, it's the one that you keep transferring over. So the one you keep rewriting. On the subject of writing lists, sometimes people notice they're procrastinating when they realise that all they are doing is rewriting lists and not actually getting onto the things that are on the list.
That was one of mine.
Yeah. And then, another one is often when you get to the end of a busy day and you think, I've done so much, but actually I have no idea what I've actually done. So if you get to the end of the busy day and you go home, or if you work at home, that your other half comes in and somebody says to you, "Hey, how's your day?" And you go, "Oh, I've no idea what I've done. I know I've been really busy. I know it's been a manic day, but I've no idea what I've done." That often, is a good sign to realize, okay, if I had a plan at the beginning and I realize I've not any of that stuff and things are just getting in the way, maybe it's the stuff that's getting in the way, or maybe actually I'm letting it get in the way and actually what I'm doing is procrastinating. Yeah. And then another telltale sign is just what you notice yourself saying. So often I have people saying to me, "Oh yeah, I'm a terrible procrastinator." So that's another telltale sign, and I'll talk a little bit around that later. And then the other thing is, Googling procrastination.
Really?
Yeah. So usually when you're procrastinating over something.
Yeah, I'd imagine that a lot of people as well spend time on things like Facebook and Twitter in a way of like, well, this is very interesting. I'm reading some really good articles and some good blogs, and they rationalise that they're really getting on and doing lots of stuff when really they're just allowing themselves to be distracted by all the social networks they're part of.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a key thing, a classic thing I notice if I'm doing procrastination big time, I can usually tell because I suddenly find I want to do the stuff that I normally don't want to do. So like the housework.
Oh yeah.
If I realise that I'm wanting to do ironing, I'm thinking, oh dear, what am I procrastinating on?
I think that's a really good one. The telltale sign of a procrastinator is they've got a really clean house.
Yeah.
And their desk is really, really tidy. And everything is really well organised.
Yes. And everything's been like alphabetized.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Now, the to-do list, when you talked about writing out to-do lists, that was one that I had for a long time, actually. I used to diligently write out several to-do lists on several apps and handwritten ones, and I'd have them in several different notebooks in different categories. And then once I'd spent all that time writing my list, I then wouldn't look at it again because, well, I didn't know why. I thought I was being productive, and I clearly wasn't. And then I realised I had an aha moment reading Graham Alcott's book, who's the guy behind Think Productive, and I realised I had a total emotional block around my own to-do list, and I was actually terrified of it because there was so much on it. So what's really going on then for people when they procrastinate? Is it you talked about those lurking tasks. Are they just scared of those lurking tasks, or is there more going on for those people?
So I think there's two sides of it. There's the actual content. So there's what am I procrastinating over? But I think there's also another part, which is how am I doing procrastination? So when it comes to what are you procrastinating over, actually one of my Productivity Ninja colleagues summed it up really well when he said, we procrastinate over the stuff that's big, boring or scary. And it is that simple. We do procrastinate over stuff that's big, stuff that's boring or stuff that's scary. So if it's too big, like you said about that, having that terrifying to-do list, if it feels too big, you're going to procrastinate over it. That's just human nature. And if it's something that's scary, you are going to resist it. And equally, if it's something boring, we just have to look at kids. That they naturally resist the stuff that they find boring. So that again, it's human nature. But what I find really interesting is kind of taking a step further, deeper. And I do this when I'm working with my clients around looking at, okay, how are you doing procrastination? So the thing I highlighted earlier when people say I'm a terrible procrastinator, I often say one of the first things I say is procrastination is something you do, not who you are. And it's a really interesting thing when it comes to words. If you say I am something, it feels permanent because you're speaking into your identity. It feels like part of who you are and not something you can change. But if you say it's something I'm doing, so the difference between I am a procrastinator, that's kind of permanent, that's who I am, versus I do procrastination or I'm doing procrastination, it's okay, it's something I'm doing, it's changeable because behavior is something that we can change. So that's one of the key things I point out right at the beginning. And then, okay, so if procrastination is something that we're doing, how are you doing it? One of the things that one of the exercises that I tend to do with my clients is, okay, imagine if you tell me that procrastination is something you're really good at doing. Imagine we have Mr. Get It Done Now, who is absolutely super duper at getting stuff done. He doesn't know how to procrastinate. He couldn't procrastinate to save his life. He just gets stuff done as soon as he thinks about it, and that's it. But he's going in for a competition, and he wants to win. And the competition is procrastination. Okay. So imagine you had to teach Mr. Get It Done how to procrastinate. Just as you would teach a child how to, how to put their clothes on. So or you teach somebody how to make a cup of tea. You talk them through step by step the kind of things to do. And it's really interesting because I did this with a group that I was working with recently at an event, and I've got the flip chart paper in front of me actually, so I'll read out some of the stuff that they said. Okay, so how do you do procrastination? Make cups of tea. Yes. Yeah. Read the news. Check social media. So there's like practical things like that. There's also things like, let's have a look. Okay, so there's things like making myself feel better about it. So I tell myself the benefits of procrastinating. We had a writer there who was saying, well, I tell myself, actually, it's better to wait for inspiration than to start writing. So she almost talks herself into procrastination. I go, well, if I start writing now, exactly, you rationalize it. You kind of almost make excuses for it, but you tell yourself the benefits of it. Another one on there is tell myself this is safe. So if you've got a whole list of stuff to do, and the one thing that's at the top is the scary thing. So maybe it's picking up the phone and making a sales call. You might then go, do you know what the accounts need doing? I'll do that one first, because that feels like a safer option. What else do we have? Do busyness. So that's like just get on with a whole load of other stuff. So be easily distracted by stuff. Go check my emails and go and do all the stuff on there, and then look at LinkedIn and see who I can connect with. Do social media, and just very much haphazardly going, okay, I'll do that. So I feel better because I'm doing stuff rather than face the thing that I'm procrastinating. Another one, your one is on there. Rewrite lists. Yes. Over plan. So a lot of the time, a lot of people procrastinate by actually over planning, and then ignoring the plan. And then there's all the stuff that we tell ourselves. So there's stuff that we do when we're doing procrastination, but there's also the stuff that we think. Okay. So these are things like thinking I've got too much to do. So simply thinking ourselves into that kind of overwhelm. Panic. So think about what you're missing out on. Think about all the things that you're doing and all the things you can't do, and how you're never going to get everything done. Things like I don't want to do it, but I have to. So almost talking yourself into a feeling of being stuck, of having no choice. So I don't want to do this. I haven't got the desire there, but I have to do it. So therefore, I'm just going to feel guilty about it. I'm going to deny myself that choice, or deny myself that option of making a choice. I'll just so all the distractions. I'll just do this. I'll just do that. And then there's the fear factor. So we said earlier, we procrastinate over the stuff that's big, boring, or scary. So on the scary side, if there's something that we fear, then actually what a lot of us do is we play that on loop. So we start focusing on the fear. We start thinking, what if it goes wrong? What if I do it wrong? Then what? Then what will happen? And then what if this happens? And then what will happen? And we almost play out this whole movie. So let's take that example of the sales call. If the sales call is what you're procrastinating over, and the reason is fear, then one way of doing that would be to start playing that movie. Okay, but what if I forget what I'm going to say? What if I phone them up and it's a really bad time? What if I piss them off? And and then what if they write a really bad thing about me on Twitter and blog all about it? And what if then nobody wants to do business with me? And and it kind of goes on, and we make it worse. And we've almost had this whole conversation before we've actually had a conversation at all. And then as part of that whole kind of what we're thinking and what we're telling ourselves, the other thing to notice as well is, how are you telling yourself? So what tone of voice is it happening? If you're playing a movie in your head, is it full Technicolor? Is it black and white? Is it a static image? Getting to grips with, okay, how am I doing this whole procrastination? How am I magnifying my fear? Same with if you're not doing something because it's boring, because you actually don't enjoy doing it. So if you're procrastinating over, for me, it would be accounts. I'm not a numbers person. I'm much more of a people person. So, for me, if I realize, if I notice I'm procrastinating over accounts, what I might do is start to focus on the details or focus on the complexity. And you almost magnify the bits I don't like and make that bigger. So that's a very common thing. And then there's also stuff around our environment. So, what's on this flip chart here in front of me is go to bed late, eat terribly, and feel crap. And this was something that, as we were unpicking procrastination and how we do it, it was something that came up for a few people. Actually, that does contribute to my procrastination. Because if I feel awful in the morning, it's easier to procrastinate because I'm feeling like, I'll just do this because I haven't got the energy to do the thing I really need to do. Whereas and then that becomes a cycle. So realizing that's something else that I do in the lead up to my procrastination is a really interesting thing.
Wow. I mean, I think I am an expert procrastinator. Listening to that list, I'm thinking, have you been spying me today, like watching what I've been doing? All of those things sound so familiar, it's ridiculous. And even I listening to that, I just think, I kind of knew I procrastinated on some things, but by the by, I feel like I'm very productive. And I listen to that and think, geez, I'm just terrible. How do I get anything done? The guilt that now is coming through. So now you've made me feel so guilty, Grace, that I'm a chief procrastinator. How do I get over this? What tips and strategies have you got that can help me and other people that are listening to get over this? This is a real block for people getting stuff done, right?
Definitely, yeah. And actually, the whole picking it apart and seeing, looking at all the details and all the different ways that we do it, that is, one of the best ways of, getting to the core of the problem. Because what we tend to do is go, I'm just procrastinating, and I don't know how to stop procrastinating. And and yes, I know I can just get it done and get on with it, but I'm still procrastinating. And that's what gets us stuck. Whereas if you have this whole list in front of you, it's like, okay, this is what I'm actually doing. If we go back to that competition analogy, if these are all the things that you're telling Mr. Get It Done to do in order to win this prize at procrastinating, if there was one thing that he forgot off the list, if there was one thing he forgot to do, and that would just wipe it all out, he would end up, accidentally getting it done and forgetting to procrastinate. What would it be? And this is likely to be different things for different people. Yeah. Excuse me. So for some people, it might be the going to bed late thing. That might be the environmental factor that makes the biggest difference for them. Wow. For some people, it's, do you know what? Actually, if I went to bed earlier, I would be, I wouldn't be inclined to procrastinate anywhere near as much as I do at the moment. For other people, there's a blog post on my blog, which was me answering a question about a writer who was like, how do I get over writer's procrastination? And I said, okay, tell me how you're doing it. And one of the things she said was, well, I start doing all the housework. So I think, okay, I need to write, so I need to have a clear desk. So I clear the desk. And then I notice all the other stuff that needs doing, so I do that. And then I notice the ironing pile is huge in the other room, so I go and do that as well. And next thing I know, I've just spent the whole day doing housework, or the whole morning doing housework, and then it's lunchtime, and then I've kind of lost the flow. And then and that's how she's doing it. So one of the things I said to her, okay, so if you know that is the thing that you're doing, how about recognizing that yes, you do want to feel prepared. So give yourself that almost that thing that you feel you need of feeling prepared and that you've cleared your space, but limit that. So use a timer and set yourself a time. Say, okay, first thing in the morning, I'll give myself 20 minutes to clear the decks, and then I'm going to get on with writing. So put the timer on and do as much clearing as you want to do in 20 minutes. And then as soon as that timer goes off, it's like, right, now it's time to work. Because then using a timer helps you to, when you're being timed, I think naturally we go faster anyway. But also it limits it so it doesn't go on and on and on, and you get to that cycle of going, well, I'll just do this and then I'll start. I'll just do this and then I'll start. You give yourself a definite start time. And also, when you know you're being timed and you've only got a limited period of time to do that, tend to think, okay, what's the most important thing I need to do here? So rather than going to tackle, go and fix that door handle on that room that never gets used, and then the last thing you do is clear the table. It's okay, I'll start with the table because that's the thing that has to be done. Then maybe I'll put the dishwasher on, and then maybe if I've got time, I'll put the washing out. But if I haven't, I'll do that later. And so it gets you focused on, okay, what do I need to get done in order to do the thing I need to do? So another example for one of the ladies who was at the event I was running the other day, what she realised was the biggest thing for her was around desire. So as we said earlier, we procrastinate over the big, boring, or scary. Looking at the boring bit, it's all about desire. It's all about actually, how much do I want to do this? What she realised was, if at the beginning of the day she focused on how she wanted to feel that day, so not what do I want to get done, but actually how do I want to feel today, and decided on that, then there's no stopping her. Because then she knows, she's absolutely clear about what she needs to do in order to feel that way. And then she can get on with it. So after go picking through all of this stuff, she realised, the key for me is I need to focus on how I want to feel. So first thing in the morning, how do I want to feel today? Simple question.
So just measure things differently.
Definitely.
I used that technique when I used to drive a lot for my work, and I liked speeding, so I liked seeing high numbers. So I ended up changing the display on my car to show me my fuel consumption. And that made me go much slower because I was really trying to hit the high numbers. But it worked. So I was just measuring what I did in a different way and satisfied my desire at the same time. So definitely. It's that kind of thing you're talking about, isn't it?
Absolutely. Likewise, when we're talking about kind of, when we're looking at fear, a lot of that comes from, limiting beliefs. A lot of it comes from, the kind of conflict that we have inside us of that little inner demon, the inner gremlin that says, well, what if you're not good enough? What
that's
if, exactly. That's a huge one. And what if the other person doesn't want to talk to you? And sometimes that voice can be really compelling. And one really easy thing that you can do is to change the tone of that voice. So I remember going through this exercise once where one of my kind of inner gremlin things was something that my father-in-law used to say.
Okay.
And and it was something that I'd just taken on board, and I didn't realise it. So I thought, okay, instead of having my father-in-law's voice, I actually pictured a little yapping dog. And he was kind of saying in this cartoon way, and that instantly changed, for me. Instead of being this kind of very authoritative voice, it suddenly became like something that I couldn't help but laugh at.
And that can be all it needs to be, doesn't it? It can be as simple as that in some cases. Absolutely,
yeah. And I think what you said earlier about kind of feeling guilty, that's, I always say, and one of the things I talk about in my book is it's about how guilt. So my book is 21 Ways to Manage the Stuff That Sucks Up Your Time, and a third of that book is dedicated to the inner stuff that sucks up your time. So the things that go on in our heads. And one of those is guilt. And I always say that with guilt, if it helps to pinpoint one thing that you want to change, then it's helpful, it's constructive, it gives you something to do. But if it's the kind of guilt that just generally makes you feel rubbish about yourself, and it makes you feel stuck and unable to do anything, then it's completely destructive and it's completely unproductive. So sometimes even, so if you realize that actually it's part of your personality that you're easily distracted by shiny things, and I am, rather than feeling really guilty about that and feeling a bad person, actually let's use that to help me. Okay, so I do like shiny things, I do like variety, I like being able to change and switch and change. So okay, one of the things that I know helps me is to really break down my to-do list into really short things. So rather than having write book on my to-do list, which would just be terrible.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Would be like, okay, so draft this particular topic. 3 bullet points on that, and then move on to something else. So my friend Marianne, actually, she's in Myers-Briggs terms, she's an ENFP, which in normal people's terms just basically means that she's very bouncy, very bubbly, and very easily distracted. And so what she's found that actually, if she has 2 projects on the go, and if she finds that she's wanting to procrastinate on one, as long as she procrastinates by working on the other project,
right,
she can get on with it.
And so then when almost sort of creating the right environment for your procrastination, so it almost backfires on itself.
Absolutely, yeah. So when she's had enough of that and goes, do you know what, I want to do something else now. Okay, I'll bounce back to the other project. So even her procrastination is productive.
This is brilliant. There's so many little strategies here that you've shared. It's brilliant, and I can imagine that your book 21 Days to Manage the Stuff That Sucks Up Your Time has got it all in there to help us get over this demon of procrastination that I think affects all of us, actually. Have you ever come across anyone in the trainings and your clients and in your experience that doesn't have a bit of procrastination in them?
I don't think so, no. I mean,
see, we all have it. We all have it.
Absolutely. Even the people who are really, there are some people who are very decisive and very direct, and they tend to, like, when they get an idea in their head, they want to go for it. They will have something that they're putting off. And what I often say is, okay, what would you do if you had more time? Because we had this thing in our heads about, like, if we had more time, there's all these other things to do. And then when you look at those things, out of those things, what are the stuff? Because there are some things that are just luxuries. If I had more time, I might, I don't know. I can't think of anything. It might. Okay, if I had more time, I might do a bit more gardening.
Yeah.
But would it be the end of the world if I didn't do a bit more gardening? No, not really. I'm quite happy, not to do more gardening. But for some people, it's, if I had more time, actually, I would do the one thing I've been meaning to do for ages. I would write that book. Or I would spend some time with my friends, or I would go traveling. And and those are often the things where you go, okay, so maybe it's those things that you've been procrastinating on. And then deciding, is it, say in, another friend of mine talks about the rocking chair test. If you're 90 years old, sitting in a rocking chair, what are the things that you're going to look back on and think, oh, I'm really glad I did that? And what are the things that you're going to regret and think, oh, I really wish I'd done that?
That's a powerful one, that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? Do you want to be one of those people that is constantly regretting what you never did? Because it's very rare that you regret things that you have done. It's the stuff that you haven't done that you say, I wish I'd done that, I wish I'd done that. And so, we need to sort of put a stop to this thing, procrastination, when actually the way you explained it and the way that you've described, breaking it down, actually identifying what procrastination means to you, distancing yourself from it, so not identifying yourself as a procrastinator, but just as somebody that undertakes a bit of procrastination time every now and then. Sort of as something that you do as well as work, you also procrastinate, then suddenly it makes it feel like a lot more like you can actually deal with it and push it away and maybe keep it under control. I certainly get a sense of that from the way that you've sort of unpicked it and how you've advised on how we can kind of deal with it. So that's brilliant. I'm sure people listening have got that too. So thank you so much, Grace, for sharing so much insight.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And helping to unpick procrastination, and hopefully we'll be able to unpick some other kind of productivity stuff at some point very soon.
I'd be happy to.
So thank you very much for joining me today. And and do join us next time on the Head Trash Show with me, your host, Alexia Leachman. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye.
You've just been listening to Alexia Leachman here on the Head Trash Show. If you enjoyed the show, I'd really appreciate you leaving a review here on iTunes. And don't forget to pop over to headtrash.com to get your copy of our free 5 Steps to Clearing Head Trash guide. So now stay tuned for upcoming episodes and more tips and how-tos for clearing your head trash and reclaiming your headspace. Until next time, bye for now.